I mean, give me a left-wing Hillary policy, like a really left-wing Hillary policy.
I couldn't tell you, but that's, I'm not.
Welcome to part 2 of my video featuring David Pakman on the Patrick Bet David podcast. While Pakman articulates his views effectively, Bet David's shallow questioning and distracting analogies often detract from the discussion. Let's check out some highlights and break down the conversation. If you appreciate this content, please like and subscribe to support my channel's growth.
Opinion of the U.S. has dramatically improved since Biden replaced Trump. I think that matters. I'm not an isolationist, so I think it's important that other countries respect the office of the presidency. And under Trump, it was a joke, you know, literally laughed at the UN, goes to India, mispronounces 10 Indian names, and the crowd is just leaving. It was a humiliation everywhere he went. So I think that's it's like a soft thing that I think is really good.
So the fact that we're no longer feared is a good thing.
I don't know where you're getting that we are no longer feared.
So you think people fear Biden?
What I'm asking you is what data do you have that we are no longer feared?
Well, that's what data is not any data to give. I mean,
then how do you know it is?
Well, no, but during Biden is when Russia felt comfortable bullying Ukraine. During Biden is even if you look at Afghanistan on the way we left, people on the left were not happy by the way we left Afghanistan.
Which people?
Even 82 billion. I can give you a lot of different names.
Like who?
CIA. Who was the CIA guy that we had here who was on
Philip Mudd
with a Z? What's his name?
Matt Zeller.
Matt Zeller.
Right off the bat, Patrick is unable to provide specifics and instead uses vague talking points that don't help his argument. While I'm happy we got out of Afghanistan, Trump bears some responsibility for the failures of the event. For example, he was the one who negotiated the prisoner release of over 5,000 Taliban fighters in Afghanistan who were described as the most dangerous individuals. The Trump administration set the withdrawal date for May 1st, 2021, and it did not leave enough time for planning.
But that's one person, right?
No, but there's a lot of them, though. If I actually pull it up and if I do the Google search on it, I'll find plenty of names from their own side.
Let's do it. That's fine. But I think one important thing to back up is you first kind of gave me what's not really a very fair question. You go, are you not worried that the U.S. is no longer feared?
So you're saying they don't fear you?
But hold on. Let me finish my response. Okay. Yeah. You first presented to me, and these are a lot of conversations go like this. You present to me, is it not a concern to me that the U.S. is no longer feared? And I said, well, where are you getting that? Where's the data? You go, there is no data. So let's first start with
what I said is it's not the fear. I didn't say there's no data. You can't pull data. Meaning you can't find data on fear.
Then how do you know that that's
fear
the case?
is action? Fear is action. Did during Trump Russia attack Ukraine?
No, that's not.
What happened with Palestine and Israel?
What happened?
What happened? They came together after 20-some years.
What?
What are you talking about when you say what?
What are you talking about? Hold on.
Well, he moved the capital to Jerusalem, is what you're saying.
So let's.
I don't know if there's been peace in the Middle East or anything like that.
Has there been any progress on peace?
Very limited.
It wasn't the capital. Did moving the embassy?
The embassy.
Hold
correct.
on a second. Let me ask the question. Did moving the embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem get us closer to peace, or did it get us further away? Do either of you guys know? I don't know if you've studied this issue.
There's arguments on both ends, but it has not led to peace and prosperity in Palestine, correct?
Did Trump promise, there's a very critical, clear question. Did Trump promise that Jared Kushner would solve the Israeli-Palestinian conflict during the first term?
That's
just a yes, no. Did he promise it?
I don't know if he promised it or promises made, promises kept. He was assigned to that duty.
And did it happen?
Did what happen?
Did Jared negotiate peace?
But I don't think anybody believed that peace was happening in the Middle East.
So it's okay for him to make promises that are obvious lies?
But make the argument. Go back to the argument about the fact that America on all polls today is, would you say, liked? What was the word you used?
So I think the really important thing when we talk about this is we talk about what we can measure. So the Gallup polling that has been done.
So you trust polls?
Oh, come on.
But that's where we're going, though.
Let's just change the subject as quickly as possible because we have no response to your argument. It is true that Trump said on multiple occasions that Kushner would bring peace to the Middle East and they would get it done very quickly. This is nothing new. Trump said a lot and delivered on none of it during his first term. Now that we are in for a round two, Patrick knows the only thing he can count on are the huge tax cuts.
There are lots of different...
I trust certain polls too, but I'm saying, so you trust polls?
If you say, do I trust a Rasmussen Republican primary poll 18 months before an election, I would say that's not very valuable. I don't think that's valuable. The Gallup public opinion sentiment poll that has been done over many, many presidents in the same way, I think that that's a pretty good poll just to give a sense of how the world feels about the American president. I have no reason to distrust that. There are other polls where I would have a specific reason to distrust. But we're kind of going like 10 tangents here. I think if we want to talk about, am I upset that the U.S. isn't feared? Since you brought that question forward, the appropriate thing would be for you to give me the data.
But no, go back to what you said. You said U.S. is what? You said you like the fact that U.S. is liked more today under Biden?
No, I didn't use that term.
What was the term you used, if you don't mind saying it again?
On average, countries respect the U.S. more now that Biden is president and Trump
you
is
value that.
I think it's important because can I tell you why?
Sure.
I think it's important because between trade and globalization and problems we deal with that don't respect the borders of countries, it's important to be, again, it's not about liked, it's not about, it's to be respected globally. I do think that actually matters.
So why do you think they didn't like or respect Trump?
Before we hear David's response, people don't like or respect Trump because he is well known for negotiating in bad faith. Trump has been involved in over 3,500 lawsuits, with many involving ordinary Americans claiming non-payment for their work. He was found guilty of business fraud. He makes promises and doesn't keep them, such as releasing his tax returns, peace in the Middle East, healthcare, bringing back manufacturing, etc. Trump has called for business leaders who do not support him to be fired, which is seen as a threat to economic stability.
Let's see what you're going to say with that. Why do you think? Tell me.
The guy's a joke.
He is.
Yeah.
Okay. Tell us why. And Biden's not a joke.
Well, we can talk about Biden.
Oh, because Biden's like the GOAT.
No.
Okay, so
I'm critical
tell us
of
why he's a joke.
But I think it's important to say: are we talking about Trump or are we talking about Biden? We can talk about both,
identify
but let's
both.
talk about them one at a time.
Stay on Trump.
Okay,
Stay on Trump
fair.
when he says he's a joke. Tell us why you think he's a joke.
Promises made that were not kept that he told us he was going to achieve for us. Let's look at some of them. I'm going to get rid of Obamacare and replace it with, his word, a beautiful replacement where everyone will have care and it's going to be affordable. Okay. Just flat out didn't happen. The one proposal that Republicans made would have led to 24 to 32 million people losing health care. I consider that a failure. I don't think Obamacare is perfect, but it's better than the thing Trump said he was going to bring us. That was just a failure. 2, build a wall across the entire U.S.-Mexico border, which Mexico is going to pay for. It's not even worth having a conversation. I mean, just a joke. Of course, completely didn't happen. Solve the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. No progress made. In fact, to be honest, and this is, if we want to delve into that, moving the embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem got us further from that because it's seen as a sort of a taunting measure if you understand the internal politics of what's going on there. Was going to, made some space travel promises. I mean, I can't think of promises he made that he did keep.
Some of the promises Trump made and kept for better or worse include tax cuts, conservative judicial appointments, deregulation, and the withdrawal from several international agreements.
He was going to do tax reform, and he did tax reform. So as a policy matter, a complete and total failure. I do think maybe the First Step Act on criminal justice reform did some good things. I'm sort of glad to give him credit on that. But so, on policy, failure. And then, on rhetoric, we could spend 3 hours just looking at quotes.
So I'm curious to see exactly how you think now. So
Yeah.
If COVID doesn't happen, does he get reelected?
Yes.
Why?
Well, because his followers don't care about policy. I interview them all the time, and I say
His followers don't care about policy.
they don't care about achievements. They care about Hillary bad, Hillary Marxist. I don't think Hillary was a good candidate, and she's to my right. No, I don't think Hillary's good, but I thought she was better than Trump.
She's to your right.
She's to my right. Yeah, Hillary
So
is
she'd
a
be
very
a moderate conservative Democrat
in
your world.
Yeah.
Got it.
I mean, give me a left-wing Hillary policy, like a really left-wing Hillary policy.
I couldn't tell you, but it's not the point. But you're saying you would much rather have a Hillary than a Trump.
I would rather.
Okay, so go back to
Much rather, I don't know.
So go back to he gets reelected. Why? Because his voters could care less about policies.
They
That's what you're
couldn't
saying.
care less.
Fine, no problem. So, but we both know that it's not the right that elects him, and it's not the left that elects whoever on the left. It's whoever's in the middle,
Not true.
the 8 to 12% that kind of says, you know what, I'm going to go this side, this time around, or versus more people come out for, their candidate, meaning a lot
Not
of people
really
would
true.
come out for Obama. Okay, so explain yourself.
What it actually more depends on is who chooses to go out and vote. It's less about, there's often this idea in politics, and there's lots of people who are really good on this issue that you could talk to, Rachel Bidikofer, and even Frank Luntz, even though he's partisan, I think he would concede this as well. He's
The
on the
pollster,
right.
you mean?
Yes.
Frank Luntz, yeah.
The idea of the swing independent voter that sometimes on presidential elections will vote for a Republican and sometimes a Democrat, very, very small percentage of people. More common is that a candidate either activates people to vote or those same people just stay home. In the US, we have an embarrassingly low voter turnout. It's between usually 52 and 60%, I think. So almost half the electorate isn't even voting. It's less about people who vote one way and then another way. It's more about people who say, I'm just going to stay home.
David is right. People were not enthusiastic enough to vote for Kamala. Trump's victory can be attributed to Harris's struggle to energize the Democratic base. The Democrats' choice of nominee and campaign strategy was why they lost.